If you're comparing B2B e-commerce platforms, you're probably feeling a little overwhelmed. It's hard to work through pitches from different vendors when everyone is focused on service level features, AI, hosting models. It's hard to know what actually matters for your business. Now, don't get me wrong, those things are important, but arguably, they're not the most important. There's actually something that matters a lot more. It's your ERP integration architecture. Hey, it's George from Corevist. Today I'm going to help you compare B2B e-commerce platforms from the perspective of ERP integration options. Now, when we talk about that in the context of Corevist Commerce, we're talking about SAP ERP, but these principles apply to any ERP integration scenario. Okay, does ERP integration architecture really matter when you're just comparing platforms? Should you really be looking at this when you haven't even chosen your platform yet? Well, the answer depends. For some companies, a basic ERP integration, one that just moves data back and forth with batch updates, is going to be just fine. And that's especially true in B2C scenarios or very simple B2B scenarios. But for other companies, basic ERP integration isn't going to cut it. Sometimes it's so important that customers won't use B2B e-commerce without a deep, comprehensive ERP integration, which is why we say it's important to consider your options when you're comparing platforms. So how do you know where you fall? What depth of ERP integration do you need? Well, here's a very simple checklist. If you need any of these features in B2B e-commerce, you're going to need a pretty robust ERP integration. Here are the features. Dynamic customer-specific pricing, real-time customer-specific inventory availability, real-time credit status, so customers know if their order will go on credit block, real-time error messaging for orders, so customers can create well-formed orders based on the rules in your ERP system, the ability to select from multiple ship-tos, sold-tos, and payers, if that's relevant for your business, real-time order posting to the ERP, so customers feel confident that they've claimed the inventory they need when they place an order. Real-time order status and history from all channels. That includes EDI, phone, fax, email, and B2B e-commerce, and this needs to come straight from the ERP in real time. Real-time invoice status and history, and the ability to select invoices and pay them online with real-time account clearing in the ERP. Wow, that's some heavy lifting, right? So if you need any of these features in B2B e-commerce, you're going to need a pretty robust ERP integration. Now, to help you figure this out, we've put together a chart where we compare the top 6 B2B e-commerce platforms from this perspective, and you can download it right below the video. The chart uses 2 metrics to help you define what platforms are best for your business, and those metrics are, number 1, depth of ERP integration, and number 2, your company's total annual revenue. Now, why do we talk about total annual revenue? What does that have to do with your choice of B2B e-commerce platform? We find it's a great shorthand metric for the amount of IT resources you can put towards your ERP integration. If you're a huge multinational corporation doing billions and billions in annual revenue, you've probably got the resources you need to do whatever type of integration you want. But if you're more on the limited side, you're going to have to be careful about your ERP integration architecture. And actually that does influence which B2B e-commerce platforms are a good fit for you. Now, why is that? Because there are only 2 high-level options for how you're going to integrate ERP and B2B e-commerce. Option number 1 is a conventional, unmanaged B2B e-commerce platform with some form of middleware or integration platform as a service sitting between B2B e-commerce and the ERP. And that means you'll have 3 systems: e-commerce, your integration platform, and your ERP. Now, option number 2 is a managed B2B e-commerce platform that includes ERP integration from the start. In this system, you've got only one source of truth, and that's your ERP. And your B2B e-commerce platform always reflects the relevant ERP data and logic without additional effort on your part. Now, here's the thing. You may not have the resources you need to take on the full complexity of ERP integration, and you might want to look for a platform that includes it from the start. Now, like I said earlier, we've got a free chart. You can download it right below the video, and it'll help you kind of work through the needs of your business and what platform is a good fit for your integration requirements. Okay, if you need deep ERP integration and you don't have a ton of IT resources available, you might be thinking, well, why can't I handle this integration on my own? Why can't I just choose an on-premises middleware solution or choose an integration platform as a service solution and just run with it? What's the problem? Well, we've talked to a lot of manufacturers who have tried this and it hasn't worked out for them. It's just too complex, too big, and too expensive. And we find that for manufacturers, the cost of maintaining this type of integration architecture actually prevents them from getting ROI from B2B e-commerce, and that's not good. Now, in case you don't believe me, just think about it from this perspective. Here's the high-level line item costs that you're going to have with this kind of integration architecture. First of all, you'll need e-commerce platform licensing. Then you'll need a partner to build out your e-commerce solution using that platform. And whether you go with the middleware solution on premises or you go with the cloud-based integration platform as a service, that's another big cost as well. And don't forget your ongoing ERP support, which you're already paying for. You're already maintaining all that data and logic in one system. And last of all, you're going to need someone to referee between all these teams, because that's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of data, and a lot of complexity. Someone has to know what's going on, and someone has to tell people what to do to keep everything working properly. And one other caveat here, you don't want to underestimate the hidden costs. When it comes to a middleware integration or integration platform as a service, vendors have a basic solution for you, but very often they're going to be building out custom integration points for you or a custom configuration of some sort, and that's probably going to be billed time and materials. And the vendor, honestly, they don't really know what you need before they get into it, so they're going to give you a quote, but let's be honest, it's going to climb up in cost as the project goes on. And that's why you should look for a vendor who manages the whole thing for you, integration included, and does fixed bid implementations. And that's our model here at Corevist. Now, with middleware or integration platform as a service architecture, it's not just the project phase where you're going to see large costs that are potentially unpredictable. This is also going to be a reality for the life of your B2B e-commerce channel from here on out. And that's because you're going to need support for each of those three systems. And each of those three systems has a duplicate set of your data and logic. And those things can get out of sync fast, and it takes a lot of coordination. So that's a line item that's very difficult to predict before you launch B2B e-commerce using middleware or integration platform as a service for your integration. And honestly, that's why this architecture, it ends up being too much for a lot of manufacturers. And we go into more detail on this in the chart, which I've mentioned before, but we try to help you figure out what platform and what architecture is right for your business. Okay, that was a lot, I realize that. So if you're a manufacturer and you need this deep ERP integration, but you're getting worried about either using middleware or integration platform as a service, what are you supposed to do? We would suggest, hey, why don't you look for a solution that's managed, first of all, and that includes integration from the start. So you're guaranteed to get everything working properly and you don't have to worry about it. Now that's the model that we use here with Corevist Commerce. Our solution is built on a direct real-time integration to SAP. We've got 53 integration points. We cover the entire customer journey and every use case you can think of, whether you want customers using B2B commerce, sales reps, customer service, all of the above. Our solution works for all of that, and we've got it covered with our integration. Visit Corevist.com for more information. Thanks for watching.